Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Blueprints and Barbells. It's been a while since we've done an architecture review, right, of a project, so I found this cool one by Enes, which is actually from one of my favorite architects, Zaha Hadid. She did one of her cool buildings, so we'll see how it goes. Sorry, just adjusting the camera. It's a very cool project. It's called Opus Building, or Opus Tower. You guys have probably seen it. Very beautiful building. I think it's one of her last projects before she died. So very cool building. What's most intriguing is kind of this open space between here, which is, very iconic. There's a large atrium as you enter the building. Kind of stretches all the way to the roof, and I think he goes briefly through it, so you can see it here. Very Zaha, very curved moments. Interior-wise, pretty elegant. I think it's good, cool structure design-wise, mostly because of that giant atrium. But I think a better building by Zaha that is even better than this one. It kind of has this huge atrium. It would be, so we can find it. And it's a cool building, and there it is, this one right here, the Morpheus Tower. Let's see. So this building is even cooler. I saw a webinar a couple years ago on how they used Grasshopper, both structural engineers and architects, and how it came together. I wish I could find that webinar again. But this building, the Morpheus Tower, is unique because there's no actual internal structure, like no columns. It's all this exterior frame that holds everything up, and there's a giant atrium you can see all the way to the top, and you have these connections between them. I'm trying to see if we can find the images of the interior, so you kind of see here. There you go. That's why. So this is probably better building than the Opus. I think it's a lot better, mostly because her full-on design methodology, her use of space, her use of parametric, and the combination of a relationship between engineering and architecture is just all there. Great building. Let's see if I can find there used to be, there it is, this one. So I guess we'll go through this later, but this is, no, it's not this guy. There used to be a webinar on it. I'll look for it, and if I find it, I'll put it in the description below. But basically, they go through the whole process of how design up until the actual production of this. And I used to have it. I don't know what happened to it. Anyways, we'll start here with Enes, it's 700 mega structure and device. And it's a great building. It's not one of the best for Zaha, but I love Zaha. I have a lot of her books. It was one of my main inspirations going in college. So we'll see here how much we can do. So let's go check it out. Let's turn on the subtitles.
I wanted an architect that can translate that in structural form.
Who's this guy? I don't think he's...
Zaha Hadid is one of the most interesting architects in the world.
Hey, Zaha.
It's an amazing year for you.
She's sometimes called architecture's one.
Her story is pretty amazing too. If Iran had not gone the way it did, she was actually poised to design a lot of stuff in Iran. She grew up in Iran for a little bit, and I believe she was going to design a lot of stuff until, they started going kind of the other way. And I think her family left Iran. I vaguely remember, but that's where a lot of her inspiration, her parametricism comes. And a much deeper story they call her and a lot of these avant-garde architects from this kind of, they call them 𝗧𝗧𝗜𝗙𝗧𝗜𝗍𝒑's babies. So if you guys don't know who 𝗦𝗢𝗃𝗃𝗧𝗜𝗍𝒑 is, look him up. He's one of the, I want to say the fathers of deconstructivism, right? his studios that he actually taught Burke Engels, Zaha. So a lot of these like new really out there architects come from 𝗧𝗘𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗓. So that's they called. I think it's a video or a mini documentary called 𝗧𝗘𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗧's Kids, and that's who these are. I'll try to find it and I'll do a video on it. But that's where Zaha came from that school of thought.
Pioneer.
She was amazing. She changed the architecture, I want to say for good. The world had not seen anything of what she had done.
Stands an architectural marvel, a structure unlike
Beautiful.
any other, fluid, sculptural, a melting ice cube rising from the desert. This is the Opus, designed in 2006 by the legendary Zaha.
And it's funny because it kind of looks like the one in the 𝗦𝗓𝗕𝗦𝗓 project, right, in China, right? That one, kind of similar shape, right? Except this is more organic. The other one's more structural. I forgot the name, but I'll look it up.
Bold fusion of art and engineering that defies convention. Today, we're stepping inside.
Lucky man, I would love to have gone to see this.
And cover the history of its construction and find out what it took to make this extraordinary jewel of Dubai.
And Zaha is not without any criticism, right?
Is more than meets the eye.
A lot of her criticism came from her lack of protesting during the, I believe, Olympics. A lot of people were dying during the construction.
All under one roof, wrapped in such bold design. But how did this ambitious vision take shape? To truly understand this impact, we sat down with 𝗦𝗢𝗧𝗓𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗢𝗔, founder and chairman of 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗔𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗍, the visionary who saw its potential and made it a reality by bringing Zaha Hadid to Dubai.
See, I think that's I think that's where he should have actually gone with, like, maybe interviewing Schumacher. I don't know if he does interview him here. I mean, because these developers are having really no input in the design of this. And knowing Zaha was not going to let anybody tell her how to design the building. So in a way, it's kind of like misleading because, yeah, this guy probably helped bring it to Dubai, right? But even then, Zaha was such a big name. Any country, any state would automatically just throw money at her if she was going to design this. If he wanted more of a, like, I haven't seen it yet, but if he goes into the construction of it, then yeah, that makes sense. In terms of design and things of that nature, then no. He should have talked to, like, Schumacher, who's the current head of Zaha Design. But we'll see. Maybe he does interview him. But remember, when it comes to architects, developers have very little say in how they design. No, that's why they're star architects. They design what they want, how they want. And they're, especially when they get to such a high notoriety like Zaha, like she could keep it care less what the developer's going to tell her. The Opus. I don't think the architecture is only about shelter. It should be able to excite you, calm you, and make you think. True. I think that also comes from the psychology of space.
So much in pushing the boundaries definition of architecture from Zaha. I've learned so much in actually reimagining spaces and imagining unique, empowering spaces.
She's very known. Zaha's one of the first commercial architects where she made a brand.
It changes the way they work. It changes the way they behave. It changes the way they show up to the challenges of life and empowers them. And it contributes to this fantastic skyline of the city.
It's a very calm design in terms of Zaha's overall portfolio.
Arriving to Opus is a really special experience. This building is located in the heart of Business Bay, in the middle of hustle.
So in terms of its design, it's pretty calm. It's not the most out there design, right?
The building itself consists of two massive towers. And these towers are connected to each other via steel bridge that is 125 feet long, and the same bridge is suspending 233 feet up in the air. And on top of that, on the ground level, we have a 4-story glass atrium that houses the lobby for the 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗏. So looking at the building from the street level is an experience.
That's beautiful.
We have the entire motor court closed off right now, and now let's go inside.
I had to park all those nice cars out front, right?
Designed by the legendary Zaha Hadid, 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗕𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗕𝗏 isn't just a hotel, it's a creative expression. With 93 contemporary rooms and suites, it blends bold architecture with effortless luxury. We got top-tier dining, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a spa
it's
that
okay.
feels like an escape.
Oh yeah,
from
that
the
spa's
city
right at
itself.
that
But the experience
atrium,
really
at that
is
connection
the
probably. That steel structure is pretty amazing.
As soon as you walk into the lobby, you're greeted by soothing finishes and details. White marble floors, plaster walls complemented with mood lighting throughout. And then to my right, we have this lovely restaurant with a coffee shop that's right behind me. And then to my left, we have
And then this, I mean, I guess it's too bad we talked about, right? Did you guys see that at the entryway? There's not really,
the reception area.
look how you come in, just the space. It's you don't right away jump into a giant atrium, right? She's guiding you with these curves and everything into the space, right? You come in, it's very subtle, white palette with gold accents. You see that the ceiling is probably, I want to say, looking at him, 9 foot maybe ceiling, but it's meant to kind of encapsulate the space, kind of give you this introduction into this grand opening, right? Kind of like a grand staircase. This is a grand opening. You can see here these furniture pieces are meant to kind of blend into the surrounding with these curves. It's all custom pieces too. She designed all these pieces for this project, which is part of her portfolio, right? She has her Zaha Architects, Zaha Code, and then her Zaha Furniture commercial stuff. Very interesting. You can see here as you go into that middle portion, that's where you get this opening and it's streaming in light.
white marble floors, plaster walls complemented.
I really like that lighting.
And then to my right, we have this lovely restaurant with a coffee shop that's right behind me. And then to my left,
But you kind of see there, right? You see on the left. And no architect's perfect, right? Like here you see those here on the left side you notice like these partitions, which seems like she didn't design for this, right? I think her original design was to keep this open, right? This smooth transition between, I mean, obviously the clients, the owners want to create a more intimate space, so they put these in here because these don't match anything around here. It would have probably been easier to have her design something here, but can't have everything.
behind me. And then
Look at that railing though here, like, oh my goodness, look at that curved railing, and not even just curved, it's angled, so this is super custom work, expensive. This is really nice, that backdrop. There you go, look at that money shot right there. Boom. So actually the structure is not too complex for this. It looks complex, right, the way it is, but realistically it's not that complex because there's a lot of columns in here. So you'll see here's one here, there's here, so almost every spot you see kind of like these same kind of objects. There's probably a column here. You can see columns extending all the way to the top of there. So she's hidden the columns really well, so that all you're noticing is just this curvilinear form through the whole project. The structure's pretty beefy there though. Look at that thing. Boom.
Is the 4-story glass atrium. I mean, look at this space.
That's not even the coolest one. Wait till I show you guys
This is such a cool
the other tower. That's a 200-story atrium.
lobby and look up and appreciate the architectural genius of Zaha Hadid. Also, on this level, we have these distinct seating with built-in seating, coffee tables, and I have to say, I would have never assumed to put colors like purple, gold, white, and additional accessory colors and landscaping to create such a feeling. But this is the only hotel in the world where both the exterior and the interior is designed by Zaha Hadid, and look how special.
Well, not the only building in the world. A lot of her projects, she did that. So I think that's a fallacy there. She designed a lot of the interiors for all her projects.
Ceilings so beautifully, and then you have moonlighting throughout to add up to the ambiance. And when you look around,
Imagine the
you see
markup. I
slit
mean,
glass railings,
furniture itself is
open
expensive.
walkways.
Look at that railing.
Kind of experience
It's a nice touch too. You see the railing has
I
a,
have to say, no matter
the
how
top is like a
much
bronze.
you keep
Really
finding
adds.
moments, areas, and sections for you to enjoy.
That Venetian plaster.
The
It's very
sensibility of
nice.
this design is somehow both futuristic and familiar. There are endless details, contours,
Yeah,
and
it's
geometric
beautiful.
delights.
I mean, just
But it
any
all
shot you
develops
take here is gonna be
without a
beautiful.
second thought. It's a testament to both the creative vision and the technical execution that this place can feel simultaneously grand, intimate, and
It reminds me a lot of her Sondheim Opera House,
Here
kind of
are
the same
some fun
form.
facts about Opus. It was announced in 2006, and it was really ahead of its time. And still to this day, it's one of the most futuristic buildings in Dubai. It consists of 27 levels, 20 above grade, 7 below grade for parking and storage. It has an interior square footage of 907,000
Wow.
square feet, and in fact, it is 328 feet wide, 220 feet deep, and 305 feet tall. And then our location. Opus is located in Business Bay, but they also like to call this area the 𝗙𝗘𝗘𝗓𝗓 district for all the obvious reasons. And I also want to show this frame to all of you. Right in front of us, we have a mosque. Behind that, you can see all these high rises, this dense city landscape, and behind that is the iconic Burj Khalifa. So I feel like in one perspective, you capture a lot of important qualities of Dubai in one frame.
True.
I moved to Dubai when I was 16 years old. I built my business in this city. It's been a foundation of my success. And it is a city that really encourages you to dream.
Please welcome to the stage Mr. 𝗦𝗢𝗙𝗕𝗦𝗢𝗔.
As the founder and executive chairman of Omnia, 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗔𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢𝗏 has played a crucial role in contributing to the developing landscape of Dubai. He has worked with the leading
A lot of actually, there was a boom around
best architects in the world
2000-ish, I
2005.
forget the years, where a lot of the big firms like OMA, everything was,
He holds an
OMA was in
understanding of the
Dubai for a while.
process.
Eventually, slowly they started leaving
Of
Dubai.
the city and the region he has worked so hard to contribute to.
I mean, it all looks the same, to be honest. Like, every building is pretty much a copy of itself. You have the very few, which you can kind of see the progression of the city, right? In its early boom, when you have all this money coming in, all the architect coming, you see all these crazy designs, crazy stuff, right? At a certain point, I think the prince or whoever runs Dubai said, no, we don't want none of that crazy stuff no more. So a lot of the firms leave. What ends up happening is here. Perfect. I go back to that image.
And I had the privilege to...
There you go. So what happens when all the firms leave? You're left with this. I mean, look at that. Everything looks the same. So a lot of the creativity they kind of spurred the growth in Dubai was gone. Now you have all these cookie cutter looking things that make no sense architecturally. Like, so there was a moment in time when Dubai was like ahead of the game in terms of design, but unfortunately they mostly just kicked every designer out. They wanted to go back to traditional design, and this is what you get. This kind of monogamy of same style, same looking things, and this is kind of whack compared to the beautiful, building that Zaha did, which is simple in its form, in a way, but very complex in its design.
His vision to extend the creek and turn Dubai into an island and create what we know today, the Business Bay area that we're sitting here in Opus.
Even that image there, like you see, like, do you see any building that stands out? You really don't, right? It's all this mimic of itself. It's become what it used to be, right? You can see in the back here, like what I'm talking about, this area back here. You can see my mouse. That was the moment in time where Dubai was going ahead of the game, taking chances with design.
Of this district in 2006, and many of the buildings that we're seeing today were not here. So having the vision, convincing Zaha Hadid, and getting behind a project like this, and having the encouragement to build it and figure out all of its problems along the way is what makes me really appreciate the building. And no matter what corner we go to, where we look at this building from, I just can't stop admiring it.
If she did in
I think we get lost in
2006,
the architectural details of Opus, the artfully extended platforms, and the use of glass to ensure the experience.
so she was pretty tamed here. If the design was from 2006 compared to her later work, so this you kind of see here, she's exploring, right? But it's not her crazy work. But I think he mentioned it was designed in 2006. Let's check. So here's the plans for the building. Very cool section. But I mean, pretty simple, straightforward, right? You see there's just this tall straight plates. There's no volume in these floors, right? There's no, the joy stuff happens at the middle portion. Here you can kind of see more of a play of how it's doing it. Let me close this. 2019 was completed. He said they designed it in 2016. 2006, sorry. So, yeah, so with some of her work, Zaha. So that you can see here, just so you guys get an idea of how crazier she got. This here, this crazy thing that just got finished, I think, or it's getting built. Look at that, very cool. Where's this thing? So that if it is true that she conceived the idea in 2006, it was kind of not at the start of her career, but not at her craziness career. So, which would make sense given the form and the technology.
It's an element of this structure that makes engineering seem like magic.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bottom section of the void, and you can see these massive beams. In fact, towards the edge, you can see them curving up to continue the shape of the void. But then they created an additional layer of steel structure to house every single one of these glass panels. And you can see the separation between the building itself and the glass facade, and they can both operate and move independently. In fact, let me explain that furthermore.
Yeah, for protecting it from.
Many of these adjustable connection points that connect the glass facade to the structure of the building. Now, it's really important that these connection points are adjustable for a couple of reasons. Number one, when you're designing and constructing a complex project like this, aligning every single one of these custom glass panels and making sure that the void is built in a way that perfectly aligns with the design is very difficult. So they create adjustment points like this, so as they're laying each one of the glass panels, if there are micro adjustments to the steel structure needed, they can easily do that without altering the structure of the building itself. Now, to get the glass to fit the form of the void wasn't an
good job. He explained it very well.
Each of the 4,544 custom glass panels had to be shaped using a cold forming process. So instead of heating the glass to extreme temperatures, each panel is heated to approximately 700 degrees Fahrenheit and then is gently bent and fixed into place using specialized framing and structural support. This technique allows for subtle curvature while maintaining the glass's strength and optical clarity. The process is long, but the result, a seamless organic flow that brings the Opus's bold design to life without compromising performance or finish.
Also, one thing you're not going to notice, you're not going to, the glass is either, you're not going to know, what's the term for it? So the glass, you can see it's going to either curve in one direction, right? You're not going to see it curve on one direction and then curve in another direction, right? Maybe it'll curve this way, or maybe it'll have like an S curve, right? It's called a double convex curve, right? A double convex curve with glass is very rare, very expensive, because the way you can kind of think is like a parabola, a 3D parabola, right? You're gonna curve You're gonna curve inward, and then you're gonna curve like at a different point, 2 points. It's a very complex form, double curved. So a lot of these glass right there, you're gonna see kind of, you can see here. Here you have your axis here, and then your axis here, but it's literally just curving in one direction. Same here, curving here in one direction. This here point could be your second, but this inner curve is the same as this outer curve, just shorter length, right? If this point here, for example, was going inward more, so now I would have a curve going in, a curve going out, and a curve going downward. That's what I mean. It'd be like a dual convex curve.
Earlier on today, we got a chance to see the cleaning crew.
Oh, that's cool.
And even that is a challenging experience. They had to be tied to ropes from the roof and hang down into the void to clean the building.
So they had to come from the roof down.
Because I used to be a developer and I know what it takes to construct complicated buildings like this, but I can't stop admiring it. Thinking about an idea of creating a concrete core with steel beams to create this really organic form, a melting ice cube, and then creating an ecosystem of a building where you have residences, hotel, restaurants. It's so complicated. It's beyond.
Well, I think it's not really a concrete core for this building. Yeah, you do see. I don't know if you go back to the drawings. Here we go. It's not necessarily a concrete core as typical construction. It's more of a bunch of freaking slabs and a lot of columns. Let's go to the plans. Come on. Okay. So when it means concrete core, it means there's going to be usually we call it like where your stairs, your elevators are going to be, right? Just solid concrete goes all the way to the top. It's true, they have one here, but let's see if we go to the top. Yeah. So in this project, for instance, the concrete core is going to be, it's technically 4. It's this corner here, this corner here, this corner here, and this corner here. And that's your concrete core that goes, I believe, to every floor. Yep. So you guys can kind of see that floor, the stairs, everything keeps going to every single floor. So I guess it's 2 into 3 different concrete cores, right? So this is what's doing the bulk of your loads, right? So the way the concrete core works is you have these structures going all the way to the top of your building, whatever, and then you have columns all around. So there's very minimal columns actually. Look at this, only a couple, and then you have a structural slab that's tying back into this core at every floor. So the weight is distributed equally on all these slabs, and it continues to the roof, and then you can kind of see here the slabs all the way to the top. And there's a good section here. You see the concrete cores all the way to the bottom. So basically your slabs are anchored to that going down, and then columns basically help keep the structure up. Very traditional structure, nothing crazy besides that exterior envelope. So what is more unique? It's the exterior envelope, not the concrete core itself. And in her future projects, she does push the boundaries of what a core is, right? And her other project, which is I think a better illustration of taking this idea and pushing it to the max, she gets rid of the core at all, and it's basically just slabs with the exterior structure.
I've been brave enough to give my largest building at the time to Zaha Hadid, and gave me the pleasure of working with her.
No, because Zaha was already famous by 2006, so you weren't taking a chance.
Zaha Hadid will need no introduction. She was a titan of architectural design, equal parts artist and architect.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Her buildings are an undeniable part
beautiful.
of the international landscape.
Yep.
The London Aquatic Center of the 2012 Olympics, the Al Janoud Stadium of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, the Dajing International Airport in Beijing, and many, many others. She received the UK's most prestigious architectural award twice.
She was amazing.
Prize. She was made a dame by Queen Elizabeth II.
She's also a Pritzker winner.
Named to the Forbes list of most powerful women in the world. She truly was a force of nature and a legend.
The whole reason I chose
I got to hear her speak at a 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗓𝗦, so
architecture.
it was amazing.
Dubai was a city of the future, and I wanted an architect that can translate that in a structural form.
She built it out of ice. She would. That's funny.
Zaha Hadid is known as the queen of the curve because she likes to bring a lot of natural and organic lines to her design. And I feel like Opus is a great example of that. The interior design of the lobby, the exterior, the atrium, and the void are all great proofs of how you can bring nature and organic elements to your design. These are the same design elements we see in our other iconic projects around the world. But here, her vision creates something different. The exterior with its flowing lines and reflective glass gives the building a sense of weightlessness, making the Opus feel alive in a way most buildings don't.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about your relationship with Zaha and how the Opus was initiated and how it evolved from the time it was a discussion between you and Zaha all the way to completion. I would love to hear that story from you.
Wow, that's quite a long story.
Yeah.
We need at least a few chapters for that story. It's a 10-year story, so I'll try to break it down. Everything started with, of course, first was, aside from the fact that I wanted to work with Zaha Hadid, is actually to get the appointment.
Yeah.
So with a lot of difficulty, the appointment was set. This bigger than life energy that is very serious. And I told my story, and I told my passion. And what I can only promise you is a full dedication from me as owner, and that I will not compromise any corner. And I think that was a key point for Zaha, to make sure that her brand and her name and her architecture
That's what she always wanted,
is in
was
the right hand.
freedom.
Can do justice to it. I was in the office when the
She turned out a lot of projects mostly because she knew she
which
wanted to get the freedom to do what she wanted.
Very distinct. That package arrived with DHL, and of course we were all very eager, so we were all going out, said let's open it up in the boardroom and see the presentation.
That's cool.
And here it was the Opus that, for me, I fell in love with in the first time I looked at it.
That's dope.
And then I spent the next 10 years trying to make this dream a reality.
I wonder what the cost was. Hopefully we get to see some construction
The
videos.
of this dream is staggering. The 𝗦𝗢𝗘𝗘𝗢𝗦 team had
Oh, go back now. That's important.
is staggering.
Don't skip the best part,
The
Enes.
𝗦𝗢𝗘𝗘𝗢𝗦 team
Oof. And that is beautiful. So what we're seeing here now is like snippets of the 3D diagrams. I think this might be, well, this is 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗓𝗦. So I had to find these. This guy here, I think it's her guy from Code. He did another video where he talked about the other building I was showing you. He's really dope. He does some crazy Revit scripts too. Trying to pause this to get, there you go. Oh yeah, that's cool. So here they're talking about the diagrammatic. I'm assuming they're studying, so we have clock, 20 hours of activation. So they're trying to derive how to get to that form. Yeah, now that's a section we don't have. That's beautiful. That's actually probably from them. Look at that. It's amazing.
Re-engineer.
Here we are, Rhino, right? This is how they got their form. It's two planes, they merged it. What you don't see is the optimization, right? So once they were able to get the form right, they had to optimize the form, panelize, right? How do you create these panels? How do you fabricate them? A way to do that is you can do you can run a script in Grasshopper to give you a certain degree for every panel, and if the panel offsets by a certain degree, you can exclude that panel and then just optimize and optimize and optimize.
At multiple points.
There it is. I want to pause it. I want to show you guys that. Right there. Surface analysis. That's exactly what I was talking about. Gaussian analysis. So it's basically what they're doing. So here you're seeing the a minimum radius, which is kind of what I was implying, is that you set a minimum radius so that that panel cannot exceed that. If that panel exceeds that, then you obviously remove that panel, and then you optimize your surface so that the surface, basically every portion of it, is going to adhere to that minimum curvature. And that gives you, so here you're saying that wherever there's red is where you're gonna have to bend the cold form. So that's the most problematic portion of the panels. Very cool. This is a very cool view. And I used to do these a lot in Grasshopper. You use Grasshopper and Kangaroo, which is a physics analysis there, or T-splines had a curvature analysis. Oof, beautiful picture. Here you can see the exterior columns, the slabs. Here you see down here, right here. This is a mock-up right here. So usually when you're doing construction, you're going to do a mock-up of each portion, like the glass, the building, the metal panels. The GC and the contractors will make a mock-up. So then you as an architect will go there, check it out, and see that waterproofing, the construction is exactly how you specified it. Very important to do mock-ups. Very nice. I wish you. Oh, there you go. Again, this is not Revit. This is all Rhino. So what you're seeing here is a Rhino, actual Rhino 3D model. The way he explained it last time when I saw the other video was the model was in. They separate the model. First they do like a wireframe model. And they have instances of like families in Rhino, where each instance is basically like a panel system. And they have, so they're not gonna model everything in 3D like in one model because it would crash it. So for analysis they'll use the wire model, right? For example, for details they'll they'll turn off the wire model and turn on these more detailed models, etc. So it's different layers of models, all from one surface.
The boundaries as far as you can. The exoskeleton.
Ooh, beautiful. This is probably one of his best videos. I love it. Okay, here you're seeing the panel analysis and the curvature. So that number you're seeing is the curvature points. Here you're seeing the structure, which the structure engineers that work with her use Rhino to do the structures. Very cool. You can see this weird, cool column right here. It's very cool to see the
framework was a completely custom job.
There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look at the size of that's tube steel. I think it's tube steel for sure. Easier to extrude tube steel, or to make it. You can see there how they're setting up and adjusting the panel systems.
But it allows the building to stand strong while preserving its sculptural, curvaceous aesthetic. A perfect example of how cutting-edge design,
and it was for its time, 2019.
As a developer or contractor, when you look at our design,
now we kind of take it for granted, like big architects, Heatherwick Studios. But at that time, the Zaha was doing this stuff. It was like driving teachers crazy because now every student wanted to design crazy stuff. You know, a lot of actual.
I was in this journey. I was in this process, sitting in these design meetings with Zaha.
Credit should be given to the engineers. Engineers allowed Zaha's dream to come true.
Everybody shivers on the table. That 20 people sitting there because they know the consequences of that sketch.
Yep.
She sits in a meeting and suddenly she says, "I don't like it." What's wrong? So what do you mean wrong? I mean, we've been designing for 9 months. It is your building. And we're just detailing nothing changed. No, I think it can be better. She takes her pencil and she draws an extension out of a structure, out of the cube, which is right now, you see that white swimming pool outside. This was not there. This was just a cube. Clean cut cube. And she said, it's not good enough. And I want to build this structure that comes out of it. It becomes that platform. And I could see engineers in that room sitting and trying to reconcile what that means into a 6-basement columns and hanging structure that goes out of this cube. And that was 9 months into design. And the schematic,
and that's how it is.
Even it was so nice, and it was such a brilliant idea that I cannot say anything. I had to look at my team and say, start again. Start again. It's by far better this way.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes, as the building comes together towards the end, you get these ideas, and if you have the budget for it, you know, sometimes it does enhance the space, and that's what he's talking about.
That's right in the heart of the city.
That's pretty nice, to be honest.
You can really enjoy the city landscape. Now, to my right, we have a gorgeous pool. That's
what's interesting.
Next to that, we have a jacuzzi.
The shape of this extension is not curved if you look at it. She kept the language of the exterior into this area. I'm sure if she was gonna, if she would extend it like in part of like the curve area, she would have followed that language.
And I have to say, it's nicely landscaped and it's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, it's a big cantilever too.
I live the space. I sit and have coffee in the corners. I eat, I drink, and I remember every space because I had the privilege of being involved so much in the design process. Completely understand the genuine and genius thinking of Zaha Hadid and how her pen and her sketches completely changes people.
And so it's very important to still sketch. Often your mind can't translate in 3D. You're much more likely in your head to understand design at a 2D pen level. So that's why a lot of our emphasis in design early in our education is strictly pen and paper, tracing paper, because that mind to pen relationship is very important. Because if you can draw it by hand, you can figure it out in 3D. 3D is the easy part.
She passed away in 2016.
Yep.
4 years before this building was completed. So she unfortunately couldn't see it. But her legacy still lives on. And
a lot of her projects were completed after her death.
This profound and iconic building.
Currently, I don't think Zaha's doing anything. The firm itself has kind of dropped off. Mostly because you can't replicate Zaha. Her partner Schumacher is not. I want to say the same caliber, just different ideology and design. I believe there was a lawsuit recently too between her estate and the firm for her likeness. The Opus.
Given that it's a mixed-use building, it also has a very important residential component. In total, they have 96 units, ranging from a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, all the way to a one-of-a-kind penthouse that is located on the very top.
That's probably where the guy lives, right?
Really
Penthouse.
Because it plays into the ecosystem of Opus. You see, under one roof, you have residences, you have restaurants, boutique, and retail space, and then you have a hotel, and the residences share the amenities of the hotel as well. So it all feeds into each other, and that's why some people prefer a residential offering like this over a high-rise condominium or a single-family home.
It makes sense too, the cost, right?
Design, blending high-end finishes.
Look at that. Did you guys see that marble custom sink?
With breathtaking views of the Dubai skyline. Beyond the residence,
she was also one of the new, the first architects to start CNCing stone forms.
With a meeting in the lobby, connect with like-minded professionals, dine at world-class restaurants, and return home, all within the same architectural icon.
I would get bored, to be honest.
And in the heart of the Opus is
I can't even eat where I work, so.
Boasting 93 meticulously designed rooms and suites, all by Zaha Hadid. Of course, we have to show you one of the suites.
Yes.
Suite number 435.
That's a pretty sweet couch.
With this spacious living
I
room,
like that
and
desk
you
too.
know that the architecture of the building has certainly influenced the interior space quite a lot. And the fact that this is all Zaha design interior is something really special. Whether it's the built-in, the desk setup here, your dining room, and these curved
she was an excellent interior designer.
Throughout. And in fact, some of these elements are also can be seen
Her
in the building.
ability to pick materials is very unique.
These bedrooms are like little glass capsules you can enjoy and see the city. And over on this side, we have the bedroom. I personally think this is the most distinct aspect of this room and the guest suites in
It's the
general.
corner
The
one.
built-in bed frame, the headboard design, these smooth lines, and this was Zaha's vision of a hotel room, a hotel experience. And also, bathroom is just as unique. They have custom designed vanities, sinks, mirrors to bring in the architectural aspect to the bathroom, but they also used a lot of timeless stones like marble and different materials to bring in the timelessness, but at the same time still give
Look at that custom freaking sink. That's insane.
Zaha touch. Of course, let's not forget a spacious walk-in shower here. Have to say, these hotel suites are very unique and certainly an experience to be in.
Look how
Whether you're
small.
staying in the hotel,
That sink was up
just
to his
visiting
knees.
Dubai, or living in the Opus residences, one of the most exciting elements within the space is the incredible food scene. This building is home to 6 world-class restaurants, offering everything from contemporary Japanese to classic French cuisine. And let me tell you, we made it our mission to try them all. At Roca, the Robetta Grill takes center stage, delivering bold smoky flavors in a sleek, buzzing atmosphere. That's very good. That is very good. There's almost like a chili paste sauce.
I don't care too much about the food.
It's nice to see its amenities open to public and for everyone to enjoy. The Opus is a vibrant hub. It's a dynamic part of the city.
I wonder if
Architecture,
the
design and lifestyle.
so it's compared to 2019. So
In a place like
I wonder
Dubai,
which portions
innovation
were not
never
in her
stops.
design.
The Opus stands as proof of what's possible.
The
I
future.
walked around this building so many times. Opus sits alone, by itself, after 20 years. And that brings me to the next question, which is, just like you said earlier, we do want to push the boundaries. We do want to make impact in people's lives. But this is a business at the end of the day. How do you justify going after a building like this from a commercial standpoint?
I saw a city that's its future is by far brighter than its presence. And I believed in that vision. And hence I went through that journey. And 20 years later, we're sitting here.
Here we are.
And I was right. And I think today we are the largest ultra-luxury real estate developer of this city that has just been named the largest city in the world who've sold ultra-luxury residential
Where
apartments.
everybody's rich.
The largest. Imagine this unique city that just 20 years ago was not in the map of the biggest architectural names in the
It's
world.
unique, but I think it's lost its
the largest city
its
that's
design capabilities now. I mean, there's few luxury residential projects that
where we are today,
done by certain architects that still have that
ahead of us.
that appetite for design.
Leadership
But a lot of the city now is just
and dreaming.
this
That the way we
mesh
imagine the
of
growth
similar
of the
projects
vision
looking all the same.
It's truly remarkable.
I think it's lost its vision. I think it needs to open its doors again to a new renaissance of designers and architects to push it forward. There's a lot of good architects now that help it out. I think that's it. He just finishes it off. A night tour. Anyways, that was Opus Building with Enes. It's a great video introduction. I'm glad to see it. It's cool to see him, go into like actual architecture stuff and see that he actually worked with that building. This project was completed a year before, and I think this is probably more. Think of this as Opus 2.0, right? And I think it wasn't. Where was this one at? Location. Where's the location? Doesn't tell me. I forget where it is. Doesn't say. This one actually won Project of the Year 2019. This is, I think, where her end goal was, where his design were at its peak, right? And I think in Opus, her limit was her structure, right? She couldn't create all these crazy forms because at that time technology. Here she did something, inverted that structure. Exterior shell is the structure, which you see here is these giant beams, which basically, and then it's the reverse of the Opus building where the interior structure is held attached to these beams. But this building doesn't have any And you can see by the interior, like, it's a very close to Opus, but way better. Completely open floor plan, no columns. That's what's crazy about this. There's that atrium I was telling you about. Interior space, you see some of that same language she used in Opus here, right? But here she went more crazy into the organic forms, bringing in the organic portion into the building, into the spaces, making it part of the space. There's that giant atrium portion. There you go. Beautiful. If we get to see some plans. Again, same language from the exterior. Here is the same language. Very cool lighting. I think it's in China. Again, this is kind of mimicking 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗢𝗦, right? This technology, meaning natural. This is beautiful. This structure is actually really huge. This piece here, you guys see? It's about like 6 foot, 7 foot wide by 7 foot. Beautiful images. But you see all this structure. This is like a... It's crazy because I used to design structures like this in Revit, like just because this was a most efficient parametric way to do this kind of lattice work was triangulation. Boom, same principle as Opus. Across here, this is massive though. I think there's like 3 floors in here. There you go. See, very minimal structures. You see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 columns, and 4 or 5 cores. Very cool. But look at this section compared to Opus. Like, it's very similar, but more like 2.0. And there you can kind of see how massive that structure is. I don't think I can zoom in here. But you see here, one little person here is like, you could fit 3 people in that. Very beautiful structure. Look at that interior. Awesome. So this is there's a beautiful section here showing you the structure. So this is the here you go. They go over the panelization. So we're talking about optimization, right? What you can do in Rhino is, once you create this panel system, you can basically laser it so that you know exactly where each panel attaches to the next. And what they did here is they created the attachments. So when they sent it to the fabricator, they knew exactly what panel was, where it goes, where it attaches, and everything. Here's the sections of the panel system next to the structural. You can see here this giant structure popping into it. Beautiful sections. More details about the panel, the connection system. This is just the pods. So she designed everything. Here's a lobby, and these shaded regions are going to be where they're going to these different modules. So each of these E1s is like one of these modules. So a lot of her later on work is really modularization of how to build these things, and you'll see it in a lot of her newer stuff. Is like she really goes into depth and like, how do you modularize this? How do you build it? How do you fabricate it? And that's beautiful images. Anyways, we'll leave off with this beautiful image of Zaha. A tribute to her. Great architect. I have a lot of books by her. You guys should really get some books. Overall, she was a great architect for architecture. Inspired a lot of students, along with Gary. And yeah, it sucks that she died, but because of her, I guess we're in a better place in architecture. So check out Enes's video if you guys are interested in seeing a little bit more about the backhand side and construction side. And we'll see you guys next time.